Great, let's start. Thanks very much. Thanks very much for joining us today. My name is Csaba. I'm the facilitator of today's webinar. We appreciate really that so many of you have registered. This is the fifth virtual session of our webinar series for clinical professionals. We received great feedback from our audience on the previous webinar, so we're very happy to continue with new topics. Before I introduce our speakers and we jump into the presentation, I just would like to go through some housekeeping. This session is being recorded and the recording will be available for download on our website. We'll upload it there shortly. You're all muted by default, but please use the Q&A box for questions. So you can see the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So please do submit your questions during the presentation. We'll have time at the end of the presentation, so we will get to your questions then. We also have some polls during the webinar, so we hope that you will also contribute to this session by participating and making our session interactive. Today's topic, great, thank you. So today's topic is sponsor oversight. Our speakers will go through some of the main challenges and possible solutions. Some of these challenges are especially relevant now during this pandemic, as the way of working and the way of communication has changed. After going through some best practices, we also share a quick demonstration where my colleague Simon will show you some of the ways we can overcome these challenges using technology. As mentioned, this is the fifth session we are running. Our attendees are typically companies, sponsor companies, pharma, biotech, medical devices, as well as CROs. The presenters today, my name is Csaba. I'm Director of Business Development at Sure Clinical, and I'm responsible for our clients and customers in Europe. Our guest speaker today is Karin Köhler-Hansna. Karin is a trained biologist with a PhD in cancer research. Karin has more than 15 years of experience in high-ranking international pharmaceutical and biotech companies, as well as CROs, in various roles in clinical operations. In 2019, Karin founded her own company, Clinical Trials Services GmbH, with key services being providing sponsor oversight, mainly in rare diseases and oncology. Our second speaker, Simon Taylor, he leads our solution consulting group and is responsible for our customer-facing product operations globally. His background is in pharma regulatory and TMF before he moved into the e-clinical software world. So before we actually start the presentation, we'd like to start a poll and ask a question and get your involvement.
So Csaba, I think you're going to have to launch the poll since you started it.
Okay, just let me know if you can see it. So there will be a pop-up in a second. You will see on the screen.
Yeah, got it.
Perfect. So our first question is, do you currently use electronic systems to perform oversight between sponsor and CRO? So we just give you, 30 seconds, 40 seconds to answer. We're curious to see. It looks like that many companies, many of you are using already systems, but also quite many don't. So hybrid means, for some operations you may have systems and other operations may be completely paper-based. So I can see almost everyone has voted. Yes, so as we can see, many of you actually don't use electronic systems at the moment. See only around 18% and 20% using systems, and some of you have a hybrid way of working. So thanks very much. We will have another poll during the presentation. All right. So now I would like to hand it over to our first speaker, Karin. Karin, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So yeah, good morning, good afternoon from my side as well, and very welcome to this webinar. And it was very interesting for me to see that the majority did not use electronic systems for sponsor oversight, but there are some with using hybrid systems, some are using electronic systems. So very interesting. So let's see, maybe that changes more towards the electronic system and after our webinar or in the future. So today I would like to talk about the sponsor oversight, its challenges, and possible solutions. And sponsor oversight is a very important topic, especially in the current situation of the COVID-19 pandemic. So first slide, please. So I first would like to present the agenda, the topics I will touch today. So that will be firstly the expectations by the regulations or the authorities. Then we will have a look at some of the challenges like contracting of vendors and also the subcontractors, but also challenges in regards of the computerized systems. And then we will also have a look at the possible solutions to these challenges. And lastly, there will be some final thoughts. So next slide, please. So what are the expectations from the from the inspectors or auditors? It is sometimes not very easy to know what the expectations are, because all the sponsor oversight is based on ICH GCP, and that gives us a very general information. So first of all, it says that the sponsor is ultimately responsible for the safety of the trial subjects and for the integrity and quality of the trial data. So in the E6R2 guidelines, section 5.2.1, it is written that a sponsor may transfer any or all sponsor-related duties and functions to a CRO, but the ultimate responsibility for the quality and integrity of the trial data always resides with the sponsor. So that gives us clearly, okay, the sponsor can delegate functions and duties to a vendor, to CRO, but they will never lose the ultimate responsibility. And that is why they have to perform sponsor oversight. And then we have section 5.2.2, and that is any trial-related duty and function that is transferred to and assumed by a CRO should be specified in writing. This is that it is clearly documented who is going to do what and when, and that there is the evidence of which tasks have been delegated. And then in the addendum even says that the sponsor should ensure oversight of any trial-related duties and functions carried out on its behalf, including trial-related duties and functions that are subcontracted to another party by the sponsor's contracted CROs. So it is not only that the sponsor needs to perform oversight on the vendors it contracted themselves, they also have to provide oversight on the subcontractors, which are subcontracted by the CRO, the sponsor contracted. So this is this is what is written in regards to oversight in the ICH-GCP guideline. We do have a regulation in the EU, that is the EU regulation number 536/2014, and Article 71 basically mentions the same, that the sponsor will maintain, will keep the ultimate responsibility for the safety of the trial subjects and for the integrity and quality of the trial data. Next slide, please. Thanks. Yeah, so let's have a look at the challenges in regards to the contracted vendors. So during the recent years, we could see an increased usage of vendors being contracted for performing monitoring, for performing data management, providing interactive voice response systems, providing the management of electronic patient diaries, electronic CRFs, and there are many more. And to contribute to the challenge, it's most of the times that it is not that it is one vendor providing all the activities. It is most of the time that there is one vendor, but that there are several vendors providing several tasks. And due to these, the fragmented distribution of tasks, there is a high challenge in regards to assuring quality oversight, ensuring compliance in a clear delegation of the responsibility. So who is going to do what, especially if there may be some overlap, that it is clear who will do what at what times. And then also the clear reporting lines. So where do you have to escalate in case of issues? And what has been seen during recent inspection was that sponsors are performing oversight activities, but the oversight activities were not documented. And we all know if it is not documented, it did not happen. And the other part is the lack of oversight on the TMF. So the TMF is sometimes, yeah, a little bit forgotten. So it is especially in recent years, it was more that, like, before the closeout of the trial, we remembered, oh, okay, we have to take care of the TMF, and then it's very, very difficult to clean the TMF up. And the other thing is that inspectors and auditors are now expecting from us that the TMF is ready at all time, inspection ready at all times. So next slide, please. Let's have a look at the challenges regarding the subcontractors of the vendor. So we have seen in the previous slides that ICH-GCP also expects the sponsor of performing oversight on the subcontracted vendors, which were subcontracted by the CRO. The biggest challenge is there is no contract between the sponsor and the subcontractor, because there is only a contract between the CRO and its subcontractor. So due to this, there is only a limited possibility of oversight activities. However, the sponsor needs to assure that during an inspection, he would have, for computerized systems, he would have access to documentation about the validation of e-clinical systems. And then we have the challenges in regards to computerized systems. So what is very likely, and especially in the post-COVID-19 area, is that the usage of eCRFs, ePros, safety databases, EIRTs, CTMSs, ETMS, and all the others will definitely increase. However, what is already seen during inspection findings is that there are findings regarding the integrity of data, the reliability of data, robustness on the data, and also the acceptability of the data. So, and if we do have an increased usage of computerized systems, that would mean we need to make sure that we do not have an increased amount of inspection findings. Okay, let's have a look at the possible solutions. So first of all, and the most important part, and right at the beginning of the trial, that would be the clinical trial agreement. So in the clinical trial agreement, it should be fixed that the vendor, the CRO, the vendor is working in compliance with the protocol and all regulations. Also, there should be a clear documentation of the distribution and definition of tasks so that everybody knows who is going to perform what and at what time. And then there should be an agreement in place for each party to have control and access to data and information. And that should include that also the sponsor is able to receive the information, to have access to the data and the information of the validation state of the computerized systems. And also in the clinical trial agreement, it should be fixed that the CRO is maintaining oversight on their subcontractors. So there are some tools which can be used for sponsor oversight that are performance reviews on a regular basis, project meetings on a regular basis, and also update metrics or metrics reports. And these reports can be very well supported by computerized systems. So you can easily use the eCRF and the eTMF, for example, to produce reports and to see issues, for example, with a site. So, for example, with the eCRF, if you do have a site in which a lot of data is not entered or queries are not answered, or also with the eTMF, if you do have a site where a lot of documents are missing, then this is a good position to look into what is happening at the site. Is it the site? Is it the CRA? Is it maybe both? So it's kind of like a signal detection. Even though it is important to perform sponsor oversight, it is really equally important that the work is not done twice. That is not what ICH GCP expect us to do. So all the sponsor oversight should be performed with a risk-based approach. And that would mean that it should be fixed at the beginning of the trial what oversight activities will be performed and to which extent. And then what is very important is that oversight activities are documented, and preferably it is documented in a CTMS, since the CTMS facilitates the follow-up. The CTMS can send out reminders when a follow-up is due, since it is very important that if issues are identified, the issues need to be followed up by the sponsor upon resolution. and we all have a lot to do. So it is very easily forgotten if you just have it in an Excel file, and because that an Excel file cannot send out any reminders. So it is very nice to have a CTMS if possible. Yeah, so as a final conclusion, so computerized systems can be very supportive when performing sponsor oversight. However, it is equally important to provide evidence on a proper validation of these systems. And I'm very sure that in the future, the usage of computerized systems will definitely increase due to more centralized trials, and maybe, and that is maybe currently blue sky, but I hope that at some point that will happen. Some oversight activities are fully taken over by computerized systems. For example, the eTMF, that the eTMF can check by itself if all documents are available, if all documents are correctly filed, if all documents are fully filled in. And we just have to push a button, receive a report, and the oversight activity is being performed. So with that, I would like to conclude my talk. Thank you very much. And I hand back over to Csaba.
Thank you very much, Karin. Thanks for a great presentation. Please, as mentioned again, if you have any questions, use the Q&A box you can see on the bottom of your screen. So please do submit those questions. So we'll come back to that after the second part of our presentation. Before continuing, I would like to start a second poll and ask you another question. So just give me 1 second. I will start the poll. So it will come up on your screen in a moment. And it's a COVID-related question to see how it would change the oversight you are planning to perform. So just give you 30 seconds to answer. All right, I can see that almost all of you have now answered the question. So we're just going to share the results. So the question was, has COVID-19 changed how you will do oversight in the future? And most of you answered yes. So you're either changing your approach immediately or it's in the plan. So you are planning to change that for the future. No one answered no, obviously. And we had a couple of answers, I'm not sure. Thanks very much for the participation. And now I would like to hand over to Simon for the second part of our presentation.
Thank you very much, Csaba, and thank you, Karin, for that as well. So, as Csaba mentioned earlier, my name is Simon Taylor, and I look after our product-facing operations in Europe and globally when it comes to customers. So, I wanted to show you how we do sponsor oversight in our system with Sure Clinical, and how that translates into a lot of what Karin was speaking about. So, when we come to managing vendors and contracts and things like reports and follow-ups and everything the system can do that can help with sponsor oversight and hopefully help you in the future, as you pretty much all answered that you will most likely be changing the way you approach oversight. Hopefully we can give you some insight and show you how we do that. So just to set the scene, the blue bar at the top is the systems that we currently have. So obviously particularly important today is CTMS and eTMF. We're also releasing a QMS later in the year, as well as an ISF, and we currently do have an archive as well for those completed studies. That's going to be very, very important to have electronically stored completed studies after the COVID pandemic has died down, particularly when it comes to all this additional documentation, extra protocol deviations, and all that sort of stuff that's being tracked at a much more detailed level because of the situation that we're in. The green bit beneath then represents everything that we have within our software that gives it its real power. Things like the e-sign in the top left. So we have a built-in e-sign capability, which is something I'm going to show today. And when you combine that with the portal, it allows you to get documents signed compliantly by your vendors, by external people, so people like investigators or site staff, or anyone you don't want to give a username and a password to your system to, or go through any sort of training with them. You can get them to sign a document, to upload, or to complete very, very easily. And it's a really great bit of functionality for that. There's lots of other things that we have within this. One of the other key ones, of course, when we're talking about documents and systems, is the ability to create workflows, send documents out for review, get automatically notified, and make sure that everyone is kept in the loop with a system that's tracking everything through dashboards and analytics, and sending those periodically to your email, as Corinne mentioned, as and when you need to. One of the most important parts that we have of the system is that we build it for the mobile first. So we actually build, it's a browser-based application that we build for the mobile, then the tablet, and then the laptop. And what that means is that it's optimized all the way up and down the chain. So whether you're using it on your phone or your laptop, you will see a version of the system that's optimized for the device you're on. When you're on the phone, you won't just see a smaller version of the system. You will see a system that's designed for your mobile first. And that's very, very important, particularly when it comes to completing tasks like uploading, or if you're going to sign a document. It needs to be relevant and relative to the screen you're on, rather than a really small version of the laptop. The tablet is incredibly important when we're physically monitoring on site, so whether it's filling out MVRs or any other information on the system there. But of course, our system, being cloud-based, has the ability built in to do a lot of remote monitoring just because of that. What I'm going to talk about today is three main areas. So one of them, as I mentioned, is the team portals. The next is user management and collaboration. So how you can get documents in, how you can get people to sign things, and how that works. And then just in general about managing a distributed workforce using cloud-based technology, a system that's designed for ease of use. So it's designed for the user as well as the processes. So it should be intuitive, easy to use, easy to learn, and people should actually want to use it. One of the most forgotten aspects of a system is, do people actually want to use it? And as I mentioned, mobile technology, which just rounds it all out as well. So I'm going to go into the system itself. So I'm just going to spend sort of 10 minutes on a demonstration here in front of you, just to give you a quick overview. So I've logged into the system already. As I mentioned, we're cloud-based, so all you need is a username and a password and an internet connection. I'm on my laptop here. It's actually a tablet laptop. I could do the same on my phone. And you can see the dashboard that we have. So the milestone manager lets us track essential and important documents that are coming into our TMF. You can also track tasks in the CTMS in the exact same way. So whether visits have been performed, whether feasibility surveys have been filled out, collected and signed, all of that important information can be tracked and visible in front of you without necessarily needing to dig into a folder structure or get behind and into the bones of the system to be able to see it and to understand it. The dashboards that we use are in real time. So as these documents, for example, the 1572s are updated, as they're completed, it will actually update in front of you so you can see those documents that have been completed and those that are needing to be done. The system is intelligent that when you're using and when you're updating the users, so for example, if you add another principal investigator, the milestones will automatically update to reflect that. So if you're collecting 1572s, if you're collecting PIs for CVs for a PI, when you add a new PI, the system will create another record for them automatically without you needing to manage these. So all you're really worrying about is getting those documents in and making sure they're collected properly and adequately, making sure they're of a high quality, they've been done timely, and that you're inspection ready at every point. And the system's going to help you do that as well. From here, of course, we can add new milestones. We can even generate a report. As Corinne mentioned, reports are so important at the moment, particularly when we get into more detail on sponsor oversight. But in general, you know, as the world perhaps stays a little bit more distributed and people work from home more, generating reports and having them automatically sent to your email or your inbox is going to be incredibly important. So that's one of the things that we want to try and get across, is that the system we have and the way we do it can be done very, very easily. In terms of getting around, it's a very simple system to use. What we want to be able to do is to use those type-ahead searches that let us see a window into the system and where we want to be. As Corinne mentioned, if we need to go into the clinical trial agreement folder, we can just do that straight away. Clicking on the search will take you directly into that area. It will show you the documents that are here for particular sites, and it will show you the statuses of those documents as well. The triple view lets you see the folder structure on the left, so the actual reference model, the filing plan you're using, whether it's the DIA model or whether it's your own custom model, doesn't matter to us. You can see the documents as well as the metadata on the right-hand side, which gives you a clear picture of all of the information and everything you're wanting to look for in the system. The system is easy to get around. And if you need to bring in a new document, for example, I've got a document here. If I just make this a little smaller, I can drag and drop this straight into this section, and the system is going to inherit the properties of the folder that it's already in. It will be filed very, very easily. You can see that this is a document that I've got and it needs to be signed, which we'll go through in a second. But I can upload this very easily. If I need to upload multiple documents, I can, and I can also change the metadata or even add my own metadata as well. Uploading that makes it filed into the system, and then that document is ready in the queues for review and for its QC. A little pop-up tells you can go straight to that document if you need to. Pretending this is an actual agreement that we may have between vendors, there's lots of things we can do with them. And one of them is to be able to send them to somebody to get that document and get that agreement signed without them needing to actually have access to the system. I've already set up a workflow for a fictitious investigator to sign a document. The process is exactly the same across all of the Sure portal. So however you need to get those agreements signed or those documents uploaded, whether it's from a principal investigator, whether it's from site staff, whether it's an agreement between vendors, all of that is very, very straightforward. So what I can do is log in as this user. They're called Dr. Simon, just for me to remember it easily. And I'm going to log into their email address here. I'll have a couple of emails that have told me that I have tasks to complete. And one of them is this, that I need to actually sign this document. So I can click to complete this task and it will open up the Sure portal. The first thing the Sure portal does is it sends a verification code to your email. This is one of the ways that we get into tracking for two-factor authentication. Of course, compliance is at the heart of everything we do. The system is compliant by design, so 21 CFR Part 11 and everything. Annex 11 GDPR are all fundamentally built into the system. We can sign this document very, very easily, should it be a document that I've uploaded earlier. And I can then sign this. And again, it sends another verification code to the email so that I can hit those two factors and that everything is signed and everything is compliant. All I need to do is bring in that code again, enter that code and sign the document. The system will automatically apply that signature to the document. We use we have a user partnership with Adobe to be able to do this. So we have a very, very comprehensive way of signing documents. Everything we do is compliant, and it really goes above and beyond what 21 CFR Part 11 actually stipulates. From here, you'll see that the document has been signed. And as the user, I also get this document sent to my email signed if I need to as well, so I can see that document. As the task initiator, so as me who's actually sent the document to be signed, I've also got an email saying that this document has been completed, it's been signed, and the document has been done. Everything we need to do to manage that is straightforward, it's easy to use, and I'm sure you can agree that is very, very straightforward for documents to get signed. No usernames and passwords needed for those external vendors or those external contractors. Life should be made much, much easier by the system. If I needed to sign a document when I'm in the system, very, very straightforward. I can just click on the button to do it. Sign it in the correct place and hit sign. Type in my unique digital PIN and say that no further changes are allowed to this document. Signing it makes sure that everything is kept compliant, everything is in the right system, in the right place. We know it's been filed correctly. The document's has gone through its QC process. Everyone is notified and everyone is up to date, partly because the system is built by a life sciences company. That is what we do. So everything we do is designed to be compliant, to make sure you're inspection ready by design. And if I need to, I can see the activity tab, which is going to give me that audit trail of everything. So as Corinne mentioned, if you have investigators that are looking at you more, you need to give them access to the system. You know that everything's been tracked and it's all been done for you without needing to worry about that. The final stage I'm going to talk about in the system are those reports. So reports are very, very straightforward to run within the system. You can see down here, we have our quick reports. So whether it's deviations that we've added that have come up as a result of COVID-19, visits that might not be able to be performed or anything like that, we actually added a tag to those to be able to report on them. But we can also create a project update report. And the project update report actually comes from our CTMS. Because it's unified and built into the same system, if your customers are both CTMS and ETMF, what it lets you do is see this data inside the system. So it will give you these visuals, for example, site activation, subject enrollment, subject statuses, as well as those important milestones as we're going through our study, whether you're in study startup or getting through closeout. All of the information is in front of you and at your fingertips. Another one example is study subject status. The final and most important thing we need to do, or we can do, is we can subscribe to this report. So I can subscribe to the report, and what it lets me do is have this report sent to my email periodically and proactively. I can also sign up other people. So for example, if I wanted to assign Csaba, I could also, in this context, assign it to my sponsors, to my pros, so that everyone is notified at the right time of this email. Subscribing to it means that this report will be sent directly to my email address on the given time point. So again, when you're worried about oversight, either having to perform or receiving oversight, let the system do the work. Let the system send it for you. Let the system create the report for you. It shouldn't be something that you have to worry about. Once you've got those agreements in place and they're in the system and they're signed, the most important thing for you to do is to do your day-to-day work and keep the study running, keep the study going. Let the system worry about sending those proactive notifications out. It's always going to tell you if there's anything wrong because it will be obvious in the visuals, whether you're on the dashboard or in the system, whether you're looking at QC issues within the documents, for example. Everything is contained in the same place. Everywhere is all the information that you need is right at your fingertips, which makes life much, much easier to be able to manage oversight because you have a tool that is designed to do that by design, and it was always built that way. So I've gone through a lot of information in the last 10 minutes. I've showed you how to upload a document, how we can use the portal to get that signed by an external vendor or any external user that we need to, and that everything is tracked, everything is reported on, and everything within the system is designed for you to have your oversight performed or perform it for you by sending out proactive notifications, making sure that everyone is aware of everything that's going on underneath at the right point. We always say, tell me before something is wrong, don't tell me when something is wrong. And that's how we design the system. That's how we design the reports. So with that, we will go into some Q&A. So thank you very much for listening to the demo, and we'd love to show you more.
Thanks very much, Simon.
Thank you, Csaba.
Thank you. All right, so I see that some of you joined a little bit later, so don't worry. This presentation is recorded, so we will send you the recording after that. But before closing, I would like to go through your questions, and if you haven't submitted any questions yet, you can see the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, so please do so. And we already have a couple of questions coming in, so let's get started. The first question is, maybe Karin can answer, how would you perform remote monitoring currently, considering the current challenges?
Yes, so I think, yeah, remote monitoring is currently very important due to the fact that most monitoring visits are halted. The biggest importance currently is that the sites are going to enter the ECRF data on a regular basis, and in that regard, it is very important to schedule phone calls with the site personnel and to maybe support them if they do have troubles filling out the ECRF. Maybe there is even the possibility of a video conference to help them filling in the ECRF. I know that there is currently also a discussion going on that, for example, the MHRA is even discussing source documents can be sent to the CRA, which is definitely not allowed by the EMA and the FDA. So and the other thing is, it is, even if the MHRA is discussing that under certain circumstances, that data integrity is maintained, and but it also would put a burden on the site staff in regards to copying source documents, scanning it, sending it to the CRA. I think we're currently, in most of the trials, we're not in the position yet that there is an e-source document which can be accessed. There is in some clinics, and I know that there is some trials which were already testing that CRAs were accessing EMRs in the US. However, in most of the countries, that is not the case yet. So I guess we have to stay to the fact that we have to do, well, kind of like remote monitoring in regards to that. We need to work with the site that the eCRF is updated, and that we can review the eCRF on a regular basis.
Great, thanks very much, Karin. So I have two questions here related to eSign. So maybe Simon, you can address that. So what security and legal regulations does Adobe Sign comply with? Maybe the second question is also, you can combine that. A CRO is using Adobe Sign to ask for signatures on study documents. Do we need to ensure proper use of these systems as well? What security and legal regulations does Adobe Sign comply with?
So it's important to know that we're not Adobe Sign. Adobe Sign is a different technology from us. We are SureSign, so Sure's eSign. So I can't really comment on what Adobe Sign actually do. We have a partnership where we created our own eSign, but we have a partnership with Adobe as a company. All of Sure Clinical's software complies with GDPR, HIPAA, GAMP5, FDA 21 CFR Part 11, Annex 11. So it's important that that's what we do. I'm not going to comment on another company's signing capabilities. So, but to the point of the CRO using the signing tool, they absolutely should be using a signing tool that is compliant with the right regulations. So 21 CFR Part 11 and Annex 11 being the two biggest and most important. And that's absolutely what Sure Clinical's eSign complies with.
Thank you. The next question is to Karin. Getting the presentation documentation of oversight activities, as you said, it's preferably done via the CTMS as it enables follow-up. The speaker says I believe that the evidence of oversight should eventually be filed in the eTMF to show how the study was conducted. If oversight is documented via the CTMS, will it be part of the eTMF?
Yes, that's a very good question. So yes, it should be part of the TMF. There should be at least some kind of report which can be filed in the eTMF, which shows that at certain dates a certain activity was performed. And then if it is possible to refer to the CTMS, that would be sufficient. But yes, of course, there should be a documentation in the eTMF, and preferably the CTMS should be a part of it.
Thank you. We have one question regarding, does the CTMS synchronize with eTMF? Simon, maybe you can take this one.
Yes, absolutely. So they don't even need to synchronize. They're actually built on the same technology. So they're what we call unified, which means they're in the same place and one login. So they're actually part of the same system. So they're built by design to work together. So very, very important for to know that. So it's very, very useful because you can click from the CTMS to the eTMF without needing to go anywhere else. No extra screens or logins. So we call it unified, but yes, they synchronize together because they're designed and built together.
Yeah, we have actually another question regarding CTMS. So I asked that. So is the system able to track and forecast any financial activities, such as estimate to completion?
Yes, absolutely. We have a financial section of our CTMS, so we can plan out site budgets, we can forecast site budgets, we can even manage procedure, visit costs, and all visit costs within a study, and we can have those pretty much put into a financial model. They can also be connected with a financial payment system on the other end as well. So yeah, we absolutely handle all payments within the CTMS context, yeah.
Okay, there's one question about access. Can I send a report to my sponsor without granting them access to the system?
Yes, absolutely. And I encourage you to.
Right, there's another question regarding integration. Can the CTMS integrate with an EDC system?
Yes, it can. We have a partnership with Medrio, so we've built our own real-time integration with Medrio, so things like protocol deviations can be pulled in automatically from the EDC. We can also build other integrations, and we can have real-time integrations with all the major EDC providers. So yes, we can absolutely have that ecosystem together.
Right, and the last question, Aria Systems GDPR compliant? I think you partly answered that, but maybe you can comment on that.
I did, yeah. I mean, obviously we're in Europe, it's very, very important. So we are completely compliant in our role as a data processor. So yes, we absolutely are on our end of what we do as that, yeah.
Great, I think that's all the questions, but if any of you have any questions, you can also contact us. Maybe you can go to the next slide just for a couple of comments I wanted to make before closing. So first of all, thank you very much for all the questions. And before saying goodbye, I just would like to mention a few things. The first is, considering the current situation and the battle against the coronavirus, we have made our platform available for companies which are developing COVID-19 vaccines and treatments. So in order to learn more about this complementary e-clinical application program, please, you can visit the link. It's you can also go to sureclinical.com for the details, so you can also get in contact with us. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yes, so don't forget, we also continue with our webinar series. So next week we have our speaker, Maria, who will be speaking about digitalization in clinical trials, the new normal post-COVID-19. So please register for that webinar as well, and do not hesitate to invite your colleagues who might be interested. You can also watch our past webinars. It's also available on our website. And as I mentioned, this webinar is and was recorded, so we'll upload it to our website. So next slide, please.
Oh, I clicked on the link.
Yes. So yeah. So if you have any specific technology requirements, there are a lot of questions about how to e-sign documents or any other technology requirements. If you have, please get in contact with us, and we will be happy to organize a one-to-one meeting or a product demonstration. Also, if you have any specific ideas or topics which would interest you, would like to know more about, please also let us know, as we are planning additional webinars in the upcoming weeks. Finally, I wanted to thank Karin and Simon for presenting today. Thanks a lot for the great presentations. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining today. And we are looking forward to meeting you next week. Stay safe and have a good week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.